Hello, thank you for joining in. Today we are going to learn something which is very fundamental, and I'm sure all of you would need this at some point. It is how to join or merge two datasets based on some common key between them. Let's begin. So we'll find the need to merge two datasets at various occasions. In this video, we will learn how to join such two datasets together in base R as well as their dplyr equivalents. So in base R, to join two data frames, we can use the merge function. I've seen a lot of people getting confused about the arguments used in this function. So let's start with the documentation. As the documentation clearly explains that this function is used to merge two data frames by common columns or row names. There are a lot of arguments in this function. We'll go through them one by one and cover the ones which are important. The first two arguments, x and y, are the two data frames that we want to join. By is the column name to be used for merging. Let's create two fake data frames to work here so that it's easier to understand this with an example. Let's take a look at df1 and df2. We are trying to join these two data frames, df1 and df2, based on the common column, which is col1. Notice that in col1 of both the data frames, we have value from A to E in both the data frames. Although the order is not the same, but all the 5 values from A to E are present. There is one additional value in both the data frames, which is value Z in df1, which is not present in df2 here, and value Y in df2, which is not present in df1. There are different types of joins that we can perform. In this video, we will cover 4 of them, which is inner join, left join, right join, and full join. So we will cover 4 of these joins here. Let's start with inner join. In inner join, we keep only those records whose ID is present in both the data frames. By ID here, I mean the common column, the column on which we are going to perform the join. In our case, it's going to be col1, which is common between both the data frames. So in inner join, we'll keep only those records where col1 values are present in both the data frames. So as we have seen earlier, the only values which are present in both the data frames are values A, B, C, D, and E. Right, so you will not have value Z here and nor Y, which is present in df2. In base R, you can use the merge function using this syntax. Merge, x and y are the two data frames that we want to merge. In this case, it is going to be df1 and df2. By argument is used to specify the column on which we want to join the two data sets. So here that column name is col1, and now if you run this, you will see that in the output we have values A, B, C, D, and E, and these are their respective col2 and col3 values. So if you want to compare this with df1, see that 0.351 is value for A, which is present here. 2.467 is value for B, which is present here. Similarly, in df2, you'll see that the A value of df2 is 1.7763, which is present here for A. B value is minus 0.4142, which is here. So it joins both the data frames on col1 and gives corresponding col2 and col3 values. So this is how we perform inner join. In base R, all the joins are performed using the same function, which is merge. However, in dplyr, they have different functions for different type of joins. So for example, if you want to perform an inner join, you use inner join function. The syntax for which is inner join, the two data frames that we want to join, and again by column, which is col1. It gives the same output as the merge function here. Merge function that we saw earlier. Right? The order is different, but the output is the same. However, it's not necessary that you should have the same column names to join. So in this case, we luckily had the column names same for both the data frames, which is col1 and col1. But you could also have a different column name. So let's say col4. If you have different column names in base R, you can perform the same join using, instead of specifying by command, now you have to specify column names for x and y, which is df1 and df2 separately. That can be done using by.x, which is col1, and by.y, which is col4 here. By.x specifies the column name of the df1 data frame, which is the first one. X is the first data frame, whereas by.y is the column name which is used for second data frame, which is df2. You can see the same join operation here with 5 values a to e. Although the numbers have changed here because we are using R norm, which gives you different numbers at each run. So if you have different column names in dplyr, you can specify them using a named vector. Right, so this is a named vector that we pass as by argument when you have different column names, where col1 is the column from df1 and col4 is the column from df2. As I mentioned earlier, all the joins in base R are performed using the same function with merge. Then how do we specify what kind of merge we want to perform? How does R know that this is supposed to be inner join or left join or right join? We can control all the join operations using the all argument which is present in merge. In this case, by default, if you don't specify, it performs an inner join like here. So for next case, let's say we want to perform left join. What does left join do? Left join would keep all the IDs in the left hand side table in the final output. How can we change the previous attempt that we had? Let me change the data frame column names again. So to perform left join, we can specify all.x equal to true. This means that all the values on x should be kept in the final output, right? So x is the first argument that we pass here in merge. The column name that we want to merge is the same, which is col1. And if we run this, you'll see the change in output. That is, we have all the common values in col1 which is present, which is a, b, c, d and e. Additionally, we have z value which is present in the final output. Now z is only present in df1, right? df1 here. So that's why we have only col2 value. As there is no equivalent col3 value for z, it returns it as na. Now to perform left join in dplyr, we use left join function and nothing changes much here. So instead of inner join, we use left join, df1, df2 and the column name on which we want to join. correct? So this gives the same output. Moving on, to perform write join, what we need to do is change all.x argument to all.y. And if you run this, you'll notice that in the final output we now have y, ABCD value remains the same as it is, and an additional row is created for y, which is present in df2 and not in df1. As it is present in df2, it only has call3 value and there is no call2 value, hence it returns it as NA. Using dplyr, that would be write join df1 df2 by call1. If you observe, right and left join are the same, the order of data frames passed into it matters. If you see this, we can get the same result using left join instead of right join, only by interchanging the arguments. So for example, if we do this df2 and make this df1, by remains the same, and instead of all.y we use all.x, and we'll get the same output, which is y here. Finally, let's take a look at full join. This would be easier to guess. In this join, we keep all the IDs present in both the data frames. All the values are maintained in the final result. Using merge, we specify it as df1, df2, the two data frames that we want to perform join on. By is the column name, which is call1, and to perform full join, we use all equal to true. Now see, in the final output we have y as well as z. Also notice that we previously used all.x and all.y equal to true, and all.true is basically a shorter way to keep both the IDs in the final output from both the data frames. Using dplyr, we use full join like this. Here also it keeps all the IDs from both the data frames in the final output. In the documentation, the by argument specifies that by default it passes the common column which is present in both x and y. So if we revisit the inner join code which we had, which is this one, this would work the same way if we don't specify the by argument. See, the output of both of these are the same. That is because, as I mentioned, by default it passes names df1 and names df2, which is call1, as the default value in the by argument of merge. In dplyr as well, if you don't mention the by value, it by default takes the common value between the two data frames, although it also passes a message stating that it is joining by call1. So if you have multiple common columns between the two data frames, it would take all of them as a key to join on. Hope this video was helpful in understanding joins. Feel free to comment if you have any suggestion or requests to make. Thanks for watching. See you soon.